morning. It's Monday, June 17th. Thanks for joining us on Up to the Minute. We're bringing you all the news, announcements, and events along with a couple of special guests. I'm Dr. Amy Tan, Dean of English of HCC's English and Communications. I'm joined by Dr. Nicholas Cox, our History Department Chair. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning. How are you today?
I am doing very well. Did you have an excellent Father's Day?
I did. I did. Got to spend time with my stepfather and both of my sons. Good weekend.
Oh, that's perfect. I'm really glad to hear that. And the weather was nice. I know it's getting ready to get bad this week.
Not yet, though, so we can still enjoy these blue skies.
The pretty sunshine. Well, Nick, we are live on HCCTV whenever HCC is in session. How can people find us?
Yeah, we're also live on the Houston Community College District's Facebook page and on YouTube. We're on X, LinkedIn, and on HCC TV at noon, 5 and 10 p.m. Monday through Friday. I believe we'll be off on Wednesday since it is a federal holiday.
That's right. It'll be, we're very excited to celebrate the Juneteenth holiday on Wednesday. For Mental Health Monday, we have a local nonprofit returning to discuss burnout, which is different from depression. Jessica Bellant, Education and Prevention Director for the Bridge Over Troubled Waters. Good to see you again, Jessica.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you again.
I'm looking forward to your segment. I think burnout is something that is on a lot of people's minds, so it'll be very helpful.
Yes, I'm glad to be here.
But first, it's also Music Monday. So we're thrilled to welcome an HCC professor who'll take a well-known Houston stage to perform some classics from a master. Horace Alexander Young, HCC music instructor and performing the King Cole Legacy at Miller Outdoor Theater. Welcome to the show, Horace. Unmute for us. Try it now.
My apologies.
No worries. I do that all the time. It's easy to forget when I've muted myself. Well, it's exciting that you'll be performing on stage at Miller Outdoor Theater later this week, but even more thrilling to hear what you'll be singing. Tell us about the inspiration behind your upcoming show.
Well, I grew up, I was fortunate enough to see Nat King Cole on television, really at the height of his career when I was a young man. My parents believed that the arts were a part of the education to make a complete human being. So my sisters and I took music lessons, not necessarily to become a musician, but to be well-rounded. And that was just a part of the whole upbringing. And from the time I first heard Nat King Cole sing, it was something about his voice that really just resonated with me. Such a peaceful and pleasant sound and such an incredible demeanor as a human being.
He's absolutely one of my favorites as well. My husband and I listen to a variety of music, and Nat King Cole is always on our playlist. How many years has the show been in existence, and how long have you worked with your singing partner?
This is actually the second year of the show in this present configuration, but as far back as 2014, I sang a number of Nat King Cole retrospectives. And then during the year that we celebrated what I call Nat in 100, I traveled to different markets. And because I had had a chance to be on Natalie Cole's overseas tour some years ago, I saw her when she was developing the duet she ultimately did with her dad. And she started to perform that on stage with an image of him. So I just kind of reversed it, and I would find a Natalie in every city. And when I moved back to Houston, right at the same time I came back, a wonderful singer named Laura Jane Jones was introduced to me by a mutual friend. And the minute I heard her sing, I knew that that was my Natalie forever, if you'll follow
Oh, I just got chills. That's beautiful. Well, tell us more about your background.
I grew up here in Houston, Texas, what I call the independent Republic of Texas, if you will, because we have our own thing here, our own music, our own culture.
We do.
And I went to Jack Yates High School. I graduated from there and attended Texas Southern University and then the Shepherd School of Music at Rice University in its early years.
That is incredible. I'm familiar, of course, with all of those institutions, and so real homegrown native Texan.
Absolutely.
Seeing on our beautiful stage at Miller Outdoor Theater.
Yes.
So before we get to the details of the show, can you tell us how this performance and others which you are involved in, how does this inform your teaching when you're working with students at HCC?
Well, I'm a teacher that I don't draw a line between what people call the professional world or the real world. And when I get everything together, then I'll do this. To me, you're getting it together for the purpose of doing whatever that is that you think is not attainable or is beyond you. So quite often I will let students know about anything that I'm doing. Sometimes people can come to sound checks and watch bands. A lot of that has changed, but some of it hasn't. Sometimes there are free tickets for students. Sometimes performances are free. So I always include any of my students in what I'm doing professionally, not to beat my own drum, but to let them know that if I'm there in the classroom with them, they're one step away from wherever it is that I'm going or whatever it is that I'm doing.
And I'm sure it means a lot to them to know that they're working with someone who's in the business, who's active, who has made a career. I think it's, too often we send the message, whether we intend to or not, that the arts isn't a viable career. And I really appreciated what you said at the beginning of the interview about how your family felt that arts was something that made you a well-rounded person.
Yes.
Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Well, my parents were educators. Both of them grew up through the Depression. I was the youngest child in a late crop, so I was raised by what the age group of most of my friends were actually their grandparents. So my parents were both born in the early 1900s, and they really helped me understand the importance of just how far uh, they had come, how far American society had come. Nat King Cole was a really big part, like Jackie Robinson, of knocking down some lines culturally and making people see each other for who they are and not what they looked like. So those are the kind of parents that raised me. And I'm very fortunate in this situation to partner with people who come from different walks of life, like Laura and Sam Dinkins III, who is from the Deakin Music and Art Foundation, which is our nonprofit host in this. We all have backgrounds that are rooted in a very strong commitment to community and culture.
Well, and how long have you been teaching at HCC? How did you find HCC?
This is my second round. I taught from the year 2010 through 2015 before I moved out of state. And then when I came back to Houston, I called to see if there were possibilities, and I was hired back. Different campus this time. I started on Central Campus, and I'm now based on Stafford Campus. But I love the environment of community college. I think it is becoming a necessary step for many students in America, especially coming out of the pandemic. And there are programs in the HCC system that have been ignored or not included in some other four-year colleges. So particularly in the area of music, music production, music business, music technology, and of course, performance in the traditional tracks, students have some remarkable opportunities.
I mean, HCC really does have a rich tradition and culture in supporting visual and performing arts. And, I know particularly at Central, that the history is there with the community. And, that I know that we have a lot of students who come to HCC because of the professors they want to work with and the programs that are available. And it's wonderful. So now you're at Stafford. And so this is all through the visual and performing arts. Is that would that be on our academic side?
Yes,
Is it
academic
plenty?
and academic, and then I've had some performing ensembles during my time at both campuses, and that's always a joy because you never know who's going to sign up. You can't put it in your mind, I'm going to do this semester. You deal with the people you have and the musicians you have. And this last semester, that particular ensemble had four keyboard players, uh, one guitar player, and a saxophone player. And we made music. We didn't have a traditional ensemble, but I enjoyed every moment of that as well as my students, and the audience, which was our largest ever since I've been back, really got a kick out of it. So it's all about the people and then about the music.
Well, I know that your students are thrilled I'm sure, to be working with you.
Mhm.
And I want to give you a chance to tell us, because now I want to make sure I get this on my calendar.
Okay.
Give us the details of the show, date, time, location. Where can we come and see it?
We're at Miller Theater, which offers performances to audiences free of charge. There have been renovations out there, so parking is not necessarily fully fluid, but it's abundant enough. You need to get there early if you want to get a seat under the shell. Weather will be great Friday. I've already put in my order. And, and
We'll be counting on that.
it is a wonderful stage. It's one of a few select in the nation that is really of that caliber. We start at 8:30 on Friday. The show does, but we advise people to arrive early. The show's about 90 minutes, and we do a retrospective of the life and the recordings of Nat King Cole and Natalie Cole. The performance is also supported by the Musicians Trust Fund, and on Friday, Make Music Day. So those are two really wonderful organizations that really try to bring music to the doorstep of people in the United States. And our ensemble, which is very diverse and across generations. We have a young lady that just graduated from high school, who was a student of mine, a couple of former students of mine, members of the Houston Symphony, members of the ballet that play in the orchestra, people from all walks of life and across town. And it's really some fantastic music. You'll sit there, you'll be nostalgic, but you will move and pat your feet as well. We have something for everyone.
Yes, I know it's gonna be a little something for everyone, and I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm gonna try to get that on my calendar. Thank you so much, Horace Alexander Young, HCC music instructor and performing the King Cole legacy at Miller Outdoor Theater. We'll have all of the information in the post after the show. Up next, after a quick commercial break, Nick will return to discuss burnout and how it is different from depression.
When I grow up, I want to work in a lab to build robots.
From classroom to career, we're with you every step. Register for real-world education at hccs.edu.
That one day at PE when they were yelling at me, and then you just linked arms with me. I don't think you know how much that helped me. I finally knew that I had somebody.
We are back with Jessica Bellant, Education and Prevention Director for the Bridge Over Troubled Waters Incorporated. Welcome back to the show, Director Bellant. I'm really happy to see that you are now a regular monthly guest for Mental Health Mondays.
Yes, I love doing these interviews. It's a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
Well, great. Today we're going to talk about burnout, and I think it would be really helpful if we just started with as basic a simple definition of burnout as we can.
Yeah, definitely. So the World Health Organization, I apologize, defines burnout as a buildup of chronic stress at work that becomes unmanageable. And this looks at work across all industries, across all disciplines and fields. So anyone can experience burnout in any field.
Now, I'd like to come back if we have time to talk about some specific fields that maybe burnout is a big issue. But what are some of its symptoms?
Yeah, so great question. So first, it's this kind of overwhelming mental, emotional, and physical exhaustion in the workplace, decreased sense of productivity, decreased passion. You might find yourself much more cynical about your work. Maybe you went into your workplace loving your job and feeling lots of energy, feeling really motivated. There's going to be this sense of doubting yourself. I don't feel good about my work anymore. I don't feel like I'm qualified to be here. Maybe I feel like I don't feel supported by my team. And these are some main kind of symptoms, but also you can experience changes in appetite, changes in sleep behaviors. Experiencing burnout does put people at a risk to experience depression. It can be this really difficult experience for people in work because They may not be able to concentrate. They find themselves really frustrated with themselves because maybe this is something they love, but they no longer engage with it in the same way. They really do feel this incredible exhaustion and frustration.
What are the sort of general, why does burnout happen? Why do people find themselves burned out in the first place?
Great question. So first, like I said, burnout is this buildup of chronic stress. So when we as human beings experience stress, our body actually goes through this entire process preparing us to, it sounds silly, but evolutionarily to survive. So we go through these physiological symptoms of releasing hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline. Our blood pressure increases when we experience any kind of stress. Our heart rate goes up. We start breathing faster. Our digestive system slows down. So our body goes through all these symptoms to prepare us for fight, flight, or freeze when we experience any kind of stress. We usually talk about this when we're experiencing like life-threatening events, right? But even when we are going through an argument with a colleague, or we're preparing for a presentation that's causing us a lot of stress, even after that stressor is gone, let's say we've done the presentation, it went great, we feel better afterwards. We're no longer stressed about the presentation. Our bodies actually, they don't realize the stressor is gone. That buildup of stress that was there has to get released. And for many people, we are not releasing that stress because for many of us, we're not engaging in physical activity. Unfortunately, that is what many people have found, many researchers, but there's an incredible book I want to mention. It's Burnout, The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle. And it's by two sisters, Emily and Amelia Nagoski. And they found that you really do have to go through physical activity or create something or spend time with quality friends, laughing, crying. We'll talk more about how to release it later. Simply put, though, we are not releasing the stress on a day-to-day basis, and that is building up to accumulate all, which can cause burnout.
No, that's great to hear that we have some sort of scientifically studied solutions, and I definitely want to come back to that about what exercise or creativity can do. But you mentioned at the beginning that there are a lot of similarities between burnout and depression. How would somebody notice the difference? How would you maybe even respond to burnout and depression in different ways?
Yeah, so great question. So usually with burnout, we can take a couple mental health days. We can go on vacation. We can go out with our friends and have a really great weekend, and we can distance ourselves from work or the stressor. We also can experience parental burnout, right? But we distance ourselves, get out of that. We immerse ourselves in something we love and enjoy. Usually that's we're going to be able to push some of that exhaustion away, some of those really awful feelings that we were feeling at work away, and we can live in the moment with burnout. And we may, when we go back to work, we may not feel completely better, but there's going to be a little bit of a bounce back effect. Hey, I feel a little bit better about being here because I've taken care of myself. I've spent time doing things I love and enjoy and connecting with others. With depression, it's different. With depression, the hobbies that we love and enjoy, oftentimes we don't get that same enjoyment from them. With burnout, we may be so exhausted that we really have to push ourselves to do the hobbies. But once we do them, we enjoy them. With depression, we don't get that same enjoyment. And it is going to affect every aspect of our lives. That's going to move with us, even when we're outside of work, even when we're outside of parenting, when we're taking the dream vacation, we're still going to feel a lot of that weight, that heaviness, those symptoms of depression that really do touch every aspect of our lives. And it's much more difficult to bounce back with self-care activities when it comes to depression.
Oh, that's really useful to hear that for someone who's suffering depression, the small things that you do to reduce stress, like working out or socializing or creativity, just are not enough. But that does bring us back to this question. We maybe just have time for this last question. What can somebody do if they are experiencing burnout, aside from things we just mentioned, like taking a break, a vacation, exercising more?
Yeah, so therapy is a great option for anyone who, if they're open to that and have the means and accessibility, if they're experiencing depression or burnout. Therapy is always an option. Connecting with other people. So a number one indicator for reducing burnout is feeling connected to those in your workplace, finding someone you could process with, debrief with, work with, getting creative, being able to have more control over your position. So maybe you talk to your boss or supervisor about, hey, these aspects of my job fill my cup. These drain my cup. How can I spend more time doing the things that fill my cup? Also, how can we set more boundaries? We live in a capitalistic society and in a hustle culture in which we are moving and grooving all the time, success, achieve, go, go, go. And so another way to counteract burnout is really think about, okay, how many hours am I putting in at the office? How much stress am I putting on myself? How much am I volunteering? Yes, 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 to all these activities that are draining me. I feel like I got to say yes so I can get that raise, so I can get that promotion, so I can make more money or keep this job and keep a high reputation. But I think COVID helped and hurt with burnout as far as reminding people, hey, work isn't everything, but also a lot of other compounded stressors came in for people. And so it also added to burnout in a way. So really checking yourself and realizing, hey, how much is this my job taking not just a mental health toll on my body, but a health toll on my body? And how much do I want to really think about? This is my work life. I'm going to do it here. And then I'm also going to live and I'm going to say no more. And I'm going to set more boundaries. And I'm not going to
so much.
spend
That just
extra
seems so
hours.
helpful to people to hear, and I appreciate it. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you again very much, Director Bellant, Education and Prevention Director for the Bridge Over Troubled Waters Incorporated. We'll have more information in our post after the show about your organization, and we'll see you again next month.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a
Thank
great long
you.
day.
And
When I grow up, I want to work at a school so I can be a teacher.
From classroom to career, we're with you every step. Register for real-world education at hccs.edu.
If you love them enough to crawl into a play place to get them to come down, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars.
Really tall.
I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands?
Yes.
You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
And we're back with some news, events, and announcements. To start off, we are very excited to have our Juneteenth documentary celebrating freedom through the arts. HCCTV will present a special feature featuring Houston artist Reginald Adams. Launching tomorrow and airing all month, the documentary travels straight to the source, Galveston, the birthplace of Juneteenth, for the historic background about this important federal holiday. It's also where Adams created his first absolute equality mural, now recreated in unique variations in 13 cities across the country. This launches tomorrow, tomorrow, Tuesday, June 18th at 1:30 p.m. on HCC TV and the HCC District YouTube channel, as well as our other platforms. So be sure to look out for that. And coming up, we also have some summer camps.
That's right. If you are interested in coding with AI and robotics, we have a summer camp for you. This is HCC Northeast's summer camp, and the participants will learn about coding with AI and robotics. It's free of charge. Lunch is included. It runs Monday through Friday, June 24th to 28th next week from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the North Forest campus. Check our post after the show for more information.
And internally, we have our PEP deadline this month. Our PEPs, the performance evaluations, must be acknowledged in June. For more information about the process, visit MyHCC or contact your TE senior partner. The next deadline is June 30th. That is for all 10-month full-time faculty and full-time faculty and staff. Check the post after the show for information.
And last, it's just a reminder out there that summer and fall registration are open. You can take some summer 2 classes starting July 8th, but fall registration has also been open for some time. Like all HCC courses in the summer and fall, we offer online anytime, online on a schedule classes with virtual meetings. We have hybrid classes, we have in-person classes, and we have hybrid labs. To learn more about HCC programs, start dates, and options to cover costs, go to hccs.edu/apply.
It was great to see you this morning, Nick.
You too.
Coming up tomorrow for Tasty Tuesday, Cafeteria will return to talk about its popular Edu coffee shop and bakery. And we'll visit with the Dean of the Global Energy COE, who also heads up HCC's Smart Manufacturing Division, Alberto Urbina. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.